morning roast. Spadoni in for Bonte Hill. Got another hour and a half left, and then our time this week is over. Bonte will be back next Monday, obviously alongside Joe Shasky here. And we're going to be joined by George Kontos here in a few minutes, obviously former World Series champion with the San Francisco Giants, current analyst for NBC Sports Bay Area. Giants dropping one yesterday to the Cincinnati Reds, splitting the series there. They will take on the Washington Nationals next. 3-game set there in the nation's capital. Quick makeup game in Detroit before coming back here, taking on Oakland Athletics. And real quick, and I know George is a big golf guy, are all of you listening, big golf people? Because you know what? A few more spots opened up at Berkeley Country Club next Tuesday, July 25th. If you want to play with one of the shows here, only enter if A, you like to golf, and B, are able to play next Tuesday, July 25th. Go to the contest page on our website to enter, 957thegame.com for your chance to win, Joe Shasky. The Open, you watching it right now? What are we doing out there?
Well, Brian Harmon is 10 under. Jordan Spieth is 5 under.
Who's Harmon?
Brian Harmon. He's a lefty. He uses the big spider putter.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He wears the big baggy khakis.
Got it.
He's kind of a poofer, meaning he doesn't hit it very far.
A poofer?
Yeah.
Never
That's why
heard
I
that.
love the Open.
You love the Open? Oh, why do you love the Open?
Because you could
Explain.
spray it. You don't have to be the farthest hitter. You know, it's not target golf.
Absolutely. We got George Kontos here on the line, wants to join in on the conversation. We appreciate him joining us this morning. George, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. How about yourselves?
Are you golfing today?
I am sitting here staring at the range right now that I'm going to go to as
Where?
we're done with this little interview. At the club that I belong to back in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Nice. How's the weather out there in Chi-Town?
I'll tell you what, it's 75 and sunny with a little breeze right now, so it doesn't get much better than
You'll
this.
take that, absolutely.
Perfect for the baby cut.
Spadoni in for Bonte. Joe Shasky here. George Kontos joining us on the morning roast. Obviously, World Series champ with the Giants and 12-4 host on Giants pre- and post-game live. Known for his sick kick game. That's what it says here in bold when I look at my little rundown. Known for his sick kick game. Real quick, we've been having this conversation in regards to, certain movies that people like. And it might tell someone about someone. This whole meme this week has been, hey, you a Barbie person or are you an Oppenheimer kind of a person? Do you like the deep cuts? Do you like the cinematography? I just want to have fun. Girls just want to I just want to go see Barbie. Which one are you, George Kontos?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, I'm an Oppenheimer guy. If I was going to see either of them, I would be going to see Oppenheimer.
Appreciate it. No, hey, that's a bullpen guy. Guy likes his craft, right? Likes the cinematography, likes the X's and O's. And George, real quick, I want to get your thoughts here on the series we just saw. Obviously, splitting there with the Reds. You just took two against them in those first 2 games. Got to see the phenom, Ellie De La Cruz. Got to see Patrick Bailey throw him out. I want to start with Patrick Bailey because how big was it for you to have the confidence in your catcher like a guy when he had Buster Posey out there? I'm not saying Patrick Bailey's going to be that, but he's got the skill set, at least the defensive skill set, to maybe rival a guy or hell, maybe surpass. What I've seen from Patrick Bailey defensively, it's been off the charts.
Yeah, he's done a really good job since he's come up. He from the moment he stepped behind the plate, he has this presence and this maturity that far exceeds a guy who's just getting called up to the big leagues for his first time as a rookie. He has a lot of similar qualities like Buster did. He can catch and throw. He's athletic. He does a really good job with the bat. He handles the bat. As long as the bat stays fine, his ability to handle the homework behind the plate and get guys ready for a baseball game is just really good and what you want out of a guy who has not much time in the big league.
How are they going to keep this bad boy going with the pitching right now? I know Cobb had a rough one yesterday, not the best, but he's been excellent all year. Like DeSclafani, Manaea, Junis, Alex Wood, Ross Stripling. They got to get one of these guys to deliver here. I mean, what's your thoughts on the starting pitching right now? Because I know the bullpen's been excellent. It's just I'm really worried that they don't have enough to get them through these next couple of weeks to get to this deadline.
Well, I mean, Logan Webb's been doing fantastic. Obviously, he's in the top 5 in NL Cy Young voting. Alex Cobb's start yesterday, I mean, you can take that and throw it right out the window.
Agreed.
He's pitched really well all season. Alex Wood, I think we would like to see him get it going a little bit better. Ross Stripling was really good the other day. He gave up the only base runner he gave up was in the inning he gave up that home run. Other than that, he threw 5 perfect innings, which was really encouraging. I think he's earned himself that start in Detroit, hopefully at the end of this road trip. But he's done better, and he's earned himself another shot at the rotation. But I think that in order for this team to make some noise in the postseason, you're going to need 4 starters. I don't think you can get by with 3. I think you need 4 guys that you can consistently count on. So if I were in those talks with Farhan in the front office and Gabe and everybody who's involved in the approaching August 1st deadline, I would have starting pitching as one of the things that I'm circling to look at.
How does that affect the psyche of the bullpen guys? Because we know the pitchers are just different in general. 9 times out of 10, they're a little quirky. And how does that affect the psyche of you guys? Because I know traditionally, we'd have 4 or 5 starters, and you knew your spots. And this is so untraditional right now. I mean, you got basically 2 dudes, and then I have no idea what they're going to do with the rest of the rotation. It feels like a lot of TBD. How do you think it's affecting their preparation, the bullpen and whatnot, and just their overall psyche heading into these series?
Yeah, I don't think it affects them too much. I mean, those guys down there are really resilient. I mean, everyone knows that certain days are going to be bullpen days until they iron this whole thing out, and on those bullpen days, it's an all-hands-on-deck day. But, I mean, when you have everybody else in the rotation, you're assuming they're going to go through their workload, whatever that may be. I mean, it was really encouraging, like I said, to see Ross Stripling go
for sure
6 innings, and only on 76 pitches. He was really efficient. It was really nice to see him kind of get back to that old form that we're accustomed to seeing him in years past. But those bullpen guys, like I mentioned, I mean, Camilo is the 9th inning guy. Obviously, you have the Rogers brothers who are going to throw late in the game as well, Scott Alexander. But you have a lot of guys in Minaya and Jacob Junis who can eat up innings. They, without kind of having roles assumed, these guys know when they're going to be coming in to pitch. So it's not something that I think they really worry about. They come in, they do their job prior to the game, and once the game starts, they just go about their routines as normal until the phone rings, and then everyone's heart rate gets a little faster to see whose name's going to be called.
George Kontos joining us here on the Morning Roast, obviously former World Series champion with the team and now analyst for NBC Sports Bay Area. And you were talking about, Farhan going out into this rotation. Do you think they're just potentially a pitcher or 2 away from having legit championship hopes and going up against the teams like the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Rays as far as, a championship goes?
So I'll tell you what, I mean, anything can happen in October, as we've seen, 3 times when we've won, and, and the other time when we were eliminated in 16. October's a different animal, and you have to be firing on all cylinders when October, whatever it is, 5th comes along and those postseason games start rolling. But you want to give yourself the best chance to play well and get deep into October. And I think we saw, or we heard Farhan say that their immediate need is some middle infield help with Craw being down right now. Casey Schmidt can handle shortstop. The bat's been a little bit on the quieter side since his tear when he came up. You have Tyrell Estrada, who's still injured and maybe 10 days to 2 weeks away. So I know that the middle infield is something that they are going to look at addressing. I would love to see another middle-of-the-order bat with Haniger down.
Yeah.
A middle-of-the-order guy. I said it yesterday on the show. I would love if he's available, if he becomes available. Nolan Arenado is a guy who I always hated facing, but I know he loves playing against the Giants, and he was always been a Giants fan. I would love to see them maybe take on some of that salary and have him for the next 4 years. Another guy we talked about was Jordan Montgomery. I watched him and was teammates with him with the Yankees when I finished my career, and I've kind of paid attention and watched him as he got traded to St. Louis. He's a guy who's just a great baseball pitcher. He's a great starting pitcher. He kind of goes out there and goes about his business and gets the job done. He's another guy that I think could be really nice to have. So there's some options. I mean, you're going to potentially get Luke Jackson and John Brebbia back soon, which is going to fortify the bullpen even more. And that would be like getting a trade piece if you're not going to add at the bullpen. But I think a middle of the order bat, as Farhan said, they're going to address the middle infield situation, and I think a starting pitcher are some mandatory things that you need at the deadline.
Yeah, I'm with you. I forgot about Brebbia coming back. They really do need him. He was really good for them this year. You've referenced some of your stops along the way. 2012, you come to the Giants, and Crawford was young. And I feel like we've kind of forgotten what it was like at the beginning of the Crawford era defensively and offensively when he was there. Take me behind the scenes when he was struggling, because he didn't hit very well that first year. What was Boch's approach with him? What was the team's approach with Brandon Crawford? Because I'm seeing Casey Schmidt right now. The glove is MLB ready. And the bat has been struggling, and that's a real thing to navigate right now. How did you guys deal with that as a team when Crawford was there early on and you guys were trying to win the division?
Well, I'll tell you what, Crawford's defense has always been elite, and even when I mean, guy, four Gold Gloves speaks for itself. I mean, there's nothing that you can say about it. And even though he's 35 years old now, maybe he's lost a step or half a step or whatever, but you still see him make those plays that he's made his whole career, and it makes him look so easy. The way the guy moves is just impressive and fun to watch. And early in Brandon's career, even his struggles, he always put together quality at bat. And he's a professional baseball player in that his approach is he's never going to get down on himself. He's going to put the work in. You can tell that his attitude was always just like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. And Brandon's been kind of his years outside of 2021 when we were hearing rumblings of, MVP talk for him. He was a 250 to 260 guy. He'd have his, 15 to 20 homers. But he always put quality at bats together. And when Brandon is hitting the ball well, he lets the ball travel well, and he can backspin it and hit it to left field the other way really, really well. That bat stays in the zone really long. And I think that when he starts struggling, you really try to focus on that approach, because whenever things are not going the way that you want them to go, you try and start doing too much, and you want to get jumpy and you want to pull the ball. But if you can kind of just slow down and take a deep breath and let the ball travel and get back to going the other way, that starts getting you back on track. And Brandon's always been really good at doing that.
So do you think, should Casey Schmidt try to employ something similar to that? Because it just feels like the fervor of fans is, he's not hitting. And I'm like, dude, he's playing great defensively. Like, the bat's going to come around. Everyone's got to kind of relax a little. The at-bats have looked better. He just doesn't have the results right now. So what do you do with Casey?
Well, I think right now Casey's your shortstop. I mean, who else are you going to put there at the moment, right? I mean, Brandon's on the IL, and you have Luciano at AAA, who just got promoted there, and I know he's hitting well over his last 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, but I don't know if he's quite ready yet for the major league, which is why I think Farhan and company feels like they need to address the lack of depth in the middle infield side of it. But Casey Schmidt plays great defense. We know that. You need to hit, though. That's part of it as well. And he came up with such a tear. The league started to kind of get a look at him and see that he was chasing a lot. If he can just not be so, he wants to hit the ball. He gets in the batter's box, and the first pitch he sees, if it's in the zone, he wants to attack, which is a great quality to have. But you have to show a little bit more discipline, and the more he learns to do that, the better he's going to continue to be. And there's obviously no doubt that he can handle himself at the major league level, because we've seen it. But it's just how you make the adjustment to when the league adjusts to you initially, and that's what he's going through right now.
George Kontos joining us here on the Morning Roast. Joe Spadoni in for Bonte Hill alongside Joe Shasky. And George, we appreciate the time. We got one more for you. We got the trade deadline approaching here, August 1st. And I want to get into the psyche of a player and get your perspective on this. Being a bullpen guy too, it feels like even on a lot of winning teams, during the deadline, weird stuff happens. Like you don't expect to get traded. Hey, I've been contributing. I've been winning on this team. Why did you want to get rid of me? There's this anxiety, if you will. Did you feel that at all as a trade deadline approaches, or how did you block out the noise, or just didn't even pay attention to it as this August 1st deadline approaches, and players might be feeling like, hey, I may get an opportunity somewhere else, or to win, or hell, to be on a losing team?
Well, the one thing that I can say is that you never want to leave the organization that you are with, because you have your friends there, and everyone always talks about that family environment, and you learn how quickly the game becomes business when you're trying to upgrade a roster, right? And the only time that I ever felt that there could be a move made were a couple of the years where we were looking to be sellers, where we weren't doing very well that year. 13 and 15. And 17, I ended up leaving because the team was scuffling a little bit. But on the years where you are looking to add, the typical thought process is you never want to take away or subtract from your major league roster from the guys that have been there. You usually add to your team through prospects or fringy guys. Maybe guys who are up and down, but guys who have been on this team and who have contributed this far throughout the whole season, I wouldn't expect any of them to be worried. I mean, bottom line is, if something happens, it happens. There's no point in looking towards the future until something does happen. And these guys are showing up every day looking to do business as usual and win whatever game that they're playing that day. So I think the psyche in the clubhouse, everyone's probably coming in and just being business as usual. I would expect them to add and not subtract anything from the major league roster, other than maybe somebody getting optioned whenever an addition does come. But that's just a matter of time before a guy like that comes back. So I think it's probably business as usual in this year when I think it's pretty dead set that we're going to be looking to add.
George, appreciate the time, man. Go enjoy the range and go enjoy Oppenheimer this week. Give us your review next time you're on, all right?
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, George.
Appreciate it. George Kontos, World Series champion with the San Francisco Giants.